And those are the people and the ones who avoid ijtinab, jam, to sidestep, to get away from the major sins, kaba'ir al-ithm. They get away from riba, they get away from haram, they get away from earning haram and spending on haram, they get away from eating haram, they get away from looking at haram and doing haram, they get away from stealing and murder, the big. You can also translate that as multiple levels of shamelessness, multiple ranks of shamelessness. They stay away from all this one. People of Iman, people who've given themselves up for Allah, they know Jannah is better, they know what Allah has is better, they trust Allah, their temptations are not necessarily surgically removed from out of their system. They still have them. And they are at multiple levels. Al-fawahish, they are late. There's a party. And I really want to go. You can't go to the party. Well, parties aren't haram. It's not like I'm going to go do the evil act. I'm just going to a party. Well, one thing leads to another, to another, to another, to another. There are degrees. You get sucked in. First it's just music. It's just music. What's the big deal? It's just music. Then there's certain kinds of music. Then within those kinds of music, it's explicit. It's using certain words that are trigger words, and human beings are impacted by words. So those words conjure up images, and those images say, hey, let me see the video of this song. So then you end up on YouTube watching the video. Then you see it, and your eyes see something they don't see, and then you say, hey, what else is out there? And you start browsing around. And this is just virtual. What about this song playing live somewhere? Let's go to a concert. Let's go to a club. One thing leads to another. That's what shaitan does. Dallahuma bi ghurur. He pulled the bucket little by little by little. You know how a bucket is drawn out of the well? It doesn't just come up. You go, little by little. This is dallahuma bi ghurur. Allah tells us Iblis, when he came to our parents in Jannah, he didn't just make waswasa one time and they're like, okay, tree sounds like a good idea. Let's go for it. No. He went a little bit, then a little bit, then a little bit, then a little bit, and that's how he gets people in fawahish. And whenever they become extremely angry, they immediately forgive. This is a high quality. Now these three things, another thing I wanted to highlight to you, is there's what's called a sense of proportion. You should keep things in proper proportion. Now, you have a job. And I'm sure in your job, you have multiple job descriptions. You have to finish project A, project B, project C, and if you get time, you should also finish project D. So you have certain priorities. This one has a shorter deadline. This one has a little bit more lag. This one it can wait. If you do it, it's nice, but if you don't, it can wait. There are all these different level of priorities. Now, a good employee understands what's the top priority and what's the least priority. They understand. They don't say none of it's unimportant. All of it's on my to-do list. But there's some things that need to get knocked out first. That's just how it is. In the religion also, this ayah, one of the beautiful ayat of priorities. Look, you want to be a good believer, you want to be a person of Jannah, you want to be someone who understands what it means to trust Allah and rely on Allah. Number one, do no harm, stay away from the really bad stuff. Before you talk about we should fast, extra days, Mondays and Thursdays, before you talk about the Qiyam al-Layl, before you talk about 20 Taraweeh or 8 Taraweeh, before you talk about let's go for Umrah, all of that stuff is great. It's awesome. Number one priority though, get away from the major sins. Get away from those. You can't talk about all that other bonus stuff, the extracurricular activities, until you meet the major requirements first. Take care of that. Number one, major sins. Number two, shamelessness. Protect your character. When you protect your character from shamelessness, your heart starts becoming soft, because shamelessness attacks the heart. The heart becomes spiritually dead. The more exposed to shamelessness you are, the less you'll find yourself capable of crying in prayer. The less capable you'll find yourself really engaging in dua. You won't be able to do it. Why? Because your heart becomes really, it eats away at your heart. Fahsha. But now that you're protecting yourself, now your heart has become soft. Until it gets to the level of softness that even when you're in a moment of anger, when somebody is angry, in Arabic, you know what they call him? Qasiyatul qalb, hard-hearted. When somebody is really angry, they call them hard-hearted. Now Allah says, the wisdom embedded is, if you can guard yourself from shamelessness, your heart will become soft. And if your heart becomes soft to a level, here's the level I want you to reach, even when your heart is expected to be hard, which is when you are angry. إِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ. It is at that very moment, they think, no, what Allah has for me is better than my anger. I'm just going to forgive. وَإِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ. I'm going to let it go. This is an amazing transition of development. First, start with the basics. Start with the basics. Take care of shamelessness. Don't engage in it. Don't expose yourself to it. Protect yourself from it from all angles. Watch out for it. Be vigilant in protecting yourself. Now that you can do that, then now your character will automatically develop. Your internal development, your spiritual well-being is automatically going to rise. You don't have to do some crazy secret exercises to become spiritually a better person, closer to Allah. Some people talk about how they don't feel close to Allah. I don't feel anything when I make dua. I can't feel, I see other people crying in prayer. I don't feel that. I have no feeling. Well, you know what? Maybe the major sins are still there, and maybe shamelessness is still there. And then the third, maybe your anger is too strong. And you haven't learned to forgive. You learn to forgive, your heart will automatically become soft. وَإِذَا مَا غَضِبُوا هُمْ يَغْفِرُونَ